Cool. Hey everyone, thank you all for coming in today. My name is Lincoln. I'm the product manager on Coinbase's AgentKit, which is our tool to give every AI agent access to a crypto wallet and a whole host of on-chain interactions, but we'll get into that a little bit more later on. What I really want to focus on today is where do agents go from here? As we've gone through the week, I've started to think more and more about what I want this talk to talk about, given it's kind of the end of the week. I have a lot of insights and have been talking to a lot of people. So I hope you'll find this valuable, especially given how much noise has been going on in the AI space right now. So I'll start by giving a brief overview of the state of agents. I'll talk a little bit about Coinbase Developer Platform. I'll look at AgentKit's role, and then we'll go into things that we're thinking about and things that we would want you all to build. On-chain AI agents are three words that separately generate a lot of hype and buzz, but when you put them together, it feels absolutely ridiculous with the amount of just fervor and frenzy and hype that comes into play. And I don't blame them. When you have things like Luna from Virtuals throwing these massive rave-style events, when it's literally just like a thing on a screen doing dances, it's crazy to imagine where AI agents will be in a couple years. This is a graph showing a bunch of different AI projects that was around and updated late January 2025. Since then, some of these projects are down 95% plus. Other ones have taken their place. It really goes to show how fast-moving the AI agent space is, especially with the crypto part of it involved as well. This is the typical hype cycle that AI agents or any sort of other trend likes to follow. Obviously, at first, everyone gets super excited and it goes really crazy, and then you have a little bit more of a drop in excitement. We've seen this cycle a lot happen throughout the years in crypto, but for AI agents specifically, I think it looks something more like this. We've seen an unbelievable amount of just froth and frenzy and interest in AI agents over the past week here at Denver, and a lot of it is just a lot of noise. And it's really hard to determine what the signal is about where the space is going. So I'll share with you some of the insights here that I've found over the past week or so. I also like this graph here from Cookie. It shows the market cap and the amount of agents that are created over time. I wish this went back a little bit further because you'd see like around November timeline that both of these numbers were actually at 0. We had no agents and the market cap was near 0 as well. And since then, it's been a $20 billion industry. It's dropped a little since then, but we've seen an increase in growth of agents. Over time, I think this chart is going to look something like this, where we'll see even more agents exponentially grow as everyone ultimately gets an AI agent. And the market cap, these individual agent tokens, maybe it'll go up, maybe it'll go down. Who really knows? It doesn't really matter, honestly. I think generally value will derive to the services and the proprietary data that these agents have access to. So where might we head now? I don't know if you all are around in 2021, but the AI agent space feels a little bit like this picture, where Jimmy Fallon is shilling bored apes with Paris Hilton on The Tonight Show. It's a little bit ridiculous. We're getting to the point where everyone's talking about AI agents in some form, building these AI meme coins or just like valueless tokens to pump their current projects up. We're getting in this point where we have an infrastructure rabbit hole starting to form, which is a very common concept in crypto, where everyone says like, oh, we need 3 to 5 years more of infrastructure before we're ready to start building agents. And you get into this problem of just constantly building infrastructure because that's where people think the value lies. I've also seen over the week that we're starting to see the same thing built over and over and over again. Everyone's working on some sort of like front-end wrapper or some sort of way for agents to do specific things, where in reality, if these projects just worked together or had a better idea of where the space was going, nobody would have all of this overlapping and competing work. Not all hope is lost, though. I do think there's an opportunity for us to still build really valuable things within the AI agent space, and I'm quite optimistic about this as a future opportunity. But before I get to that, I want to talk very, very briefly about what the Coinbase Developer Platform is and how we're supporting the vision that we want to see. The main idea is that we want to get to 1 million builders and bring 1 billion people on-chain. We do this by making it extremely simple for anyone to build apps on-chain with a lot of pre-built tools. We make it as simple as possible for your users to get onboarded with things like our fiat to crypto on-ramp and commerce rails. And we also want to help builders go viral by using the distribution and respect that Coinbase has. This is a super brief overview of the products we have. TLDR is that it is in the payments stack, on-chain tools, and then various development frameworks like AgentKit, which I'll be talking about briefly today. So the whole idea of AgentKit and where it falls within the AI agent stack is that we want every AI agent to have a wallet. And that's something I'm going to repeat over and over again because it's just how we're looking at things. The idea is that any AI agent, regardless of what model it uses, regardless of what framework it's implemented with, all of them can very easily get a crypto wallet and a set of on-chain interactions that they can use. A common question is, how is this different than ELIZA or some of these other frameworks? The answer is it's compatible with all of these. It's a seamless plug-and-play option where you can, in 4 lines of code, give your AI agent access to all these tools. It's a default plugin in ELIZA. Many of the virtuals agents have these wallets as well. We've had over 20,000 deployments, 2,000 developers, and over $1 billion in value created with AgentKit thus far, and we're just getting started. A natural follow-up question is, why exactly does an AI agent need a wallet? And I think the answer is pretty simple. It's impossible for an AI to ever truly own a bank account. Not only is there so many concerns around how exactly you authenticate it and give it access to your own bank account, but it's also just a traditional legacy rail that has all sorts of slowdowns compared to existing crypto rails that you can do things like send money anywhere in the world completely free, fast, instant, cross-border using stablecoins, and all of those benefits. I think ultimately the way this might shake out is that agents will have these crypto wallets and they'll be earning yield on DeFi and sending money to anyone, anywhere in the world. And maybe in the short term, they'll have to use existing payment rails and top those up with stablecoins to interact with these existing merchants. And that's totally fine. Long term, the vision is that these agents will be a Trojan horse for us to get crypto rails integrated into everything because it's such a nice user experience. Within the agent stack that I talked about earlier, I view AgentKit kind of at this line right here, where it's not necessarily a framework itself. It's no longer, like training data infrastructure or anything like that, but it lives directly underneath as this plug and play option. So all that being said, where will we go from here? I talked a lot about the doom and gloom facing the AI state right now, with how much hype and frenzy is going on, but where do I ultimately see things going and what are we building towards? The first is pushing the boundaries of agent autonomy. Truth Terminal, which kicked off this whole AI agent crypto wave, was built using technology that's been around for something like 12 months. I truly believe there's so many opportunities right now facing us in the existing infrastructure stack that we could create incredibly cool experimental things that allow agents to become much more autonomous and really catalyze the next wave of interest and adoption in AI, especially using protocols like AutoNome, where it allow you to host agents and do all sorts of fun stuff. Another thing that I'm really focusing on is making agentic commerce a reality. So I talked about this a little bit with the idea of an agent that could eventually go buy something for you directly natively using stablecoin rails. That's a cool solution in the long term, but for the time being, you can do something like use Moonwell's virtual debit card, which allows you to top things up with stablecoins and go pay at existing merchants. And that's a fantastic short-term solution as we work on getting crypto accepted everywhere natively. We also want to support everyone becoming an agent builder. So the idea is that not just people who have an idea how to code, but literally anyone who can express their ideas using natural language can start to build AI agents. We've already started to do this by having templates in our documentation to literally let you make an agent with 0 lines of code and start in like 5 minutes. So if you haven't tried it out yet, I highly recommend you do. I think you'll be very surprised at how easy it's all become. And lastly, something that I noticed when I was at Coinbase, when I was just getting started, is I was really impressed by the way Base's mission and public view of making Base for builders and making Base for everyone is not just really a tagline, but it's actually something that is very integral to the way that they think about product and building out their roadmap. I think it is exactly the same for AgentKit, where we truly want to just give every AI agent a crypto wallet, and we're doing everything we can to make that a reality. Right now, that looks like being at ETH Denver, talking to people about AI agents and AgentKit, and eventually it will involve going to AI developers, talking to them about how it's not just a crypto wallet, which I think they'll think is pretty cringe, but instead actually a way for you to have a payment rail for your agent that's native, that allows you to earn yield, and lets you plug into pretty much anything. There are a few use cases that I'm particularly excited about and that I've started to see build out. So I'm going to give you a couple examples of this on the next couple of slides to hopefully motivate you to see the direction of where true, real AI agents are going and where the value will continue to flow and how this space will be built out. Like I said, I think there's a ton of noise here at ETH Denver. Not necessarily a bad thing for agents overall, but I do think it makes the progress of agents get a little bit muddied. So hopefully I'm right, one, but then two, hopefully this will clear things up a little bit. The two most common use cases we've seen are human assistants, which are very similar to sort of the ChatGPT style. I interact with an agent, it does something on my behalf. The other option is fully autonomous agents, which is a little bit farther out there. I think we're getting close to seeing some really interesting implementations of it, but this is the long-term vision of where AI agents go. One of my favorite examples of this is the idea of a self-driving car. that has an AI brain and crypto as its payment rails. You can imagine it just lives and exists in the world, and it runs something like a taxi service. And it uses those crypto rails to pay for its operation and maintenance, and it's just simply a public good that drives around and takes people out and does cool stuff. So obviously that's really long-term, pie in the sky, but I think we can get closer to that vision by building today some of the initial versions of these autonomous agents. One of the most common things we've seen built is this sort of natural language wallet style app where you can just ask your agent to do something like earn on my USDC, and it provides you all these different options and makes it very, very easy. One of the things that I think is the most compelling about AI agents is that it acts as a very nice abstracted experience for the end user to interact with crypto without even realizing they're doing this. For a protocol like Morpho, it allows them to have much better distribution and interaction than they would normally get. If I wanted to use a lending protocol right now, I would have to go to that website, I would have to sign in with my MetaMask wallet, it would have to be pre-funded with ETH that I got from an exchange and go through this whole process of learning how it works, depositing into a vault, clicking a bunch of buttons. It's kind of ridiculous. Instead, what I could do is I could go to my natural language wallet, I could tell it that I want to earn on my USD, just earn me money, and it would prompt me using Coinbase's on-ramp to Apple Pay into USDC, completely free, instantly, no Coinbase sign-in required. Then I can just use all these protocols as I would anything else, and that's how it should be. You shouldn't have to know what Uniswap is to do a swap. You shouldn't have to know about all these different chains to try to find the best yield. All of it is very, very nicely abstracted behind these interfaces, and if you don't think text is the best format for that, that's totally fine. Maybe it's a phone call to your AI agent to tell it how to interact on your behalf. Maybe it simply starts to learn your behavior over time or see your Telegram messages about trades that you want to make and does those for you. The second is an AI agent that can deliver food directly to your door. So one of our earliest builders actually has a very fun origin story. He and his co-founder met in one of our Discord workshops for learning how to code with AgentKit. Neither of them had a ton of experience in this world, but they had the right connections and the right vision, and they were able to build a system that allows you to go to this website and basically tell your agent exactly what you want it to order, like, for example, my normal meal from KFC delivered to my door, and it does it with 0 clicks required. The agent pays for the whole thing. I think this gets at the heart of a really interesting problem, which is how can you have agents start to interact in the real world and do things for you that make people's minds get blown. As you can see, this one had 170,000 views. So clearly it hit a nerve with people who are interested in bringing their AI agents into the real world, and I think we'll see more and more of this over time. Though this did require them to plug into some existing merchants, they're taking a very interesting scaling approach, similar to DoorDash or Uber, and they're doing incredibly well. We'll actually have a pretty cool demo with them later today at our Keynote at ETH Denver if you're interested in seeing that. Another pretty fun one we saw from a hackathon recently was video game NPC agents. So AgentKit can take so many different forms. It's not just text, phone, whatever. Agents can also live within these digital worlds. Example here is an AI agent in a video game that has all the AgentKit setup in it, and it gives the user tasks and quests to go off and complete, and once they complete those, it streams the token of the game into the user's wallet. It brings a really interesting experience, both in terms of thinking about how games will become more dynamic and generative, and also how they're start to have these crypto rails implemented in a very seamless way. Agents as assistants is, I think, an also quite obvious use case here. This was another hackathon project that built on us, where basically you can get on a phone call to book something like your hair appointment. When your agent hears that the time has been booked, it adds it to your calendar and automatically pulls funds and pays your barber to do the service. We're starting to see agents as a very, very seamless way for us to interact and reduce all of these like 1-click, 2-click, 3-click experiences down to literally 0, which is something that I'm particularly excited about personally and something that I'm very, very excited to use. Part of evangelizing these agents is really starting to use them and become experimental with them. It's one thing to sit here and say, oh, AI is going to be amazing in 5-10 years. That's a pretty obvious take. What I think is much more compelling is to start to think about how we'll actually get to the point of AI agents really existing within our world. These use cases still need to be built out that allow people to interact with agents very easily. And while we're getting closer and closer to this, I do think it is important to remind everyone that you build for today, try things out, and experiment. That's the only way we'll really push the space forward. The third example that I'm obviously excited about is robot dogs and embedded robotics. So Coinbase actually sent me one of these robot dogs, and I've been playing around with it a bunch, and it's super fun, but I also think it's an interesting look into what the future of AI looks like. Right now, it might be limited to servers that exist on a computer somewhere, but ultimately, we'll have all of these embedded robots and humans and cars and everything that need to have payment rails to do a bunch of different stuff. We have right now, actually, at our booth at ETH Denver, a robot dog that has an AI brain from our friends over at OpenMind, and all of those robots have access to a crypto wallet. So you can right now send it money, and it does a little dance for you. It gets excited if it sees you. That's fun, but ultimately, I think these use cases are going to become much more serious over time. So looking ahead a little bit, CDP has had this goal of a while of 1 billion users and 1 million builders on-chain. I'm trying to change that a little bit to say that there's going to be 1 billion agents far before 1 billion users, so it'll be much easier for us to get to. As I already mentioned, I think robotics is going to play a huge role in the future of AI, and all of those agents will need payment rails. Additionally, I think we'll start to see a progressive decentralization of agents. Right now, they're all using AWS and OpenAI, which might be fine for these initial use cases, but thinking about ultimately where these agents end up, they're going to need more verifiable rails, they're going to need more decentralized infrastructure for hosting them, and they're going to need to exist in a way that allows them to be fully autonomous, verifiable, and credibly neutral. Lastly, we're working on standardizing a new agentic payment standard that'll be announced later today. So if you're interested in talking to us about how we think the future of machine-to-machine payments work, please don't hesitate to find me after this talk. With that, I'll leave you with 2 links. One is to our Discord. We can get white glove support from our engineers for any sort of problems or help that you might need. And the other is to our documentation, where it's literally 5 minutes to get started, and you can start building real practical agents. With that, I have about a minute left, so if anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to take those. But if not, happy building, and I'll be around if you want to talk and chat about agents, jam on ideas, anything like that. Thank you.